but it will still be there one day. If you could see that the number of years that I took before I completed my PhD was quite a long time. But then again, that doesn't stop me, and I obtained my PhD at the age of 44. So that shouldn't stop you, right? So do it at your pace, but somehow rather put in your mind that you want to attain a certain qualification, right? Of course, professionally, after you have graduated, I'm an engineer in 1984. That is done with the Board of Engineers Malaysia. I also become the member of the IEM, I believe in 1985. So the most important thing that you need to do is to first register yourself with the Board of Engineers Malaysia. That is the first thing that you must do after you have completed your studies. So you are now in year 1, 2021. So 4 years down the road will be about 2025. So the first thing that you do 2025, once you get your scroll, if the university is doing a bulk registration, then you are done because the university will do it for you. But if the university is not, then the first thing that you must do is to download the form, or I think you will actually fill up the form now online, and then get yourself registered as a graduate engineer. I think the fee is about 50 ringgit, but not too sure 4 years down the road whether they are going to increase the fee or not. But I think they may not, because you know, we are still in a pandemic situation. There are many of our consultants that have been hit, so I don't think so they are going to increase the fee. So probably it will still remain at 50 ringgit in the year 2025. Okay, now so it took me quite a while because I was in the academic background. Because in order for me to obtain the professional engineer status or qualification, of course, I have to undergo the industrial training or the practice that must be obtained at the level of equivalent to what is required before I could actually go for my PE exam. So it took me a while because I did my master's in 1988. And then only after that I actually really seriously take into my practical experiences and sit for the exam and passed it. And in the year 2000, I become a professional engineer. So that's where I carry the status of IR. So you will do that too, right? You will do that too. I'm not saying that those who do not have IR are not good, but definitely in the professional journey, you want to attain the highest qualification that you may, right? So as I've already mentioned, since you are still in your year 1, try to chart your pathway properly. When do you plan to get your IR? And with the revision of the Engineers Act, we have another status of professional engineer, which is known as professional engineer with practicing certificate. So for those who have actually obtained their professional engineer qualification prior to 2015, they are given an automatic placement from PE to PEPC. Of course, when you have a PEPC, the fee is different, the commitment is also different. So for those who actually would like to just remain at the PE level, you can. But if you want to change yourself from a PE to a PEPC, because only a PEPC can own a business, then you need to undergo a competency examination. So that is what you have to go through in future. Okay, now let's go with this particular slide, and I think you can just answer in the chat so that I could see what is really the preference of your choice. Why do you choose engineering? Is it because of a personal? Is it or because of family influences? You just need to answer, you just need to type one alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, or F. In my case, it's a C. That's my ambition. In your case, what would it be? Can I just see what's happening in the chat? Okay, I see B, I see E, I see C. Good. Advice, yeah. Okay, A, all right. D, A or E, E, all right. Seems like there are so many that had been advised by parents and teachers. Okay. Only a few answered B, right? There are many who answered C. Oh, A, B, C. Only one alphabet, guys. Okay, C, E. So far, no one is answering F. That's good. At least you have your own choice. B, C, E. Not many is answering. I don't have G, my dear. Not many is answering D. Okay, at least I have one, two, a few. A few have already answered D. I think those who answered Z and some other alphabet, you are not understanding the instruction. Okay. So I see most of the answer is coming from E and C. Not many answers A and even B. And I don't see any F unless I missed it. But there are many with C and E. Now, to those who are actually answering E, I need you to relook, okay, the option of taking engineering. And if the advice by the parent or the teacher is the right advice and you are passionate about it, and most importantly, you must be good in A. You must be good in mathematics and natural sciences. If you're not good in A, then you may face some problem. Okay, you may face some problem. So therefore, look into it, check on it, all right? So as how I answered, C is my ambition. So naturally, it comes naturally, my A is good and my B is good. Okay. But for those who are answering E, relook at the choice that you've made. If you think that this is the best choice, so be sure that you really harness your A and your B. Right? Harness your A and your B. For those who answered D, all right, they can become your mentor or they can become your idol, right? Or probably you are going to take over the company for whatever company that they may have. Now, okay, if you are taking over the company of your parent or your parents, so you must have that commitment that you have to be doing better than your parents. Probably your parents is having a one consulting company. Probably now you want to have a chain of that particular consulting company. Probably now your parent is doing probably one particular or probably a very general scope. You may want to go into a very specialized scope where you become the best of the best in the country or probably in the world. So please, you are now at year one. So whether your choice is of a personal choice or is a family of friends influences, and the way that you've gone through with your answer, I want you to be honest with yourself. Please be honest with yourself, right? Because this is going to be a 4-year journey. I'm not saying that things will come with roses and cheese, but then again, you would have to know whether your journey is going to be pleasant or not. right? I am asking you to be honest with yourself, okay? Because at the end of the day, I think it's not fair to you and not fair to the family and even not fair to the university if you have gone through 3 years and you think you want to change your line of expertise. So this is the right time for you to make probably a reflection. And if you have chosen it based on A, B, or C, then go ahead. I'm sure that you have made the right decision because this is what you want. If it is D and E and F, you need to relook. And if it's D and E, if of the good points, then go ahead. And definitely you'll be as good as those who have chosen A, B, and C. For those who chose F, but I think I did not see any, you definitely have to relook it 10 times or probably 100 times just because you want to be with your friends. Yeah, doesn't work that way in engineering fraternity. Okay, these are two bodies that I would like you to, since I do not want to mess up with this WebEx, I'm giving you this particular website. You can actually Google it. So probably I can give you about 2 minutes to Google professional body under that www.bem.org.my, and also the Learned Society, another 2 minutes, www.iem.org.my. And then probably you can write on the chat, what do you see on that particular front page? Why I need you to go to the front page so that you are capable of getting all the information that you want from a professional body and also from our Learned Society in Malaysia. Can we do that in about 2 minutes each? Can we first start with professional body? If you have another device, if you don't have, that's fine. Or probably you can just go for another on another page for you to Google on what is www.bem.org.my. And what do you see on the first page of that? So I'll see what it is on the chat. If you want to say something, just switch on your mic. I have no problem with that. If you think that you want to also share it with your colleagues rather than writing it on the chat room, you can also just speak out. Yeah. Okay, 2 minutes. Can we first go with bem.org.my? Statistic, registration, good. What else? Professional practice, BM registration, good. CPD, conference and exhibition, okay. Acts and regulations, yeah, that is an important section, acts and regulation. Any more? What do you see on the banner? There's a banner as well, right? For those who have the time to go in deeper, you can always go deeper. There are many pages there. Any more? Are we stopping at acts and regulations? Okay, I have 1 more minute if you want to share. Anyone want to speak up? Don't be shy. Okay, can we move on to Learned Society, www.iem.org.my. What do you see there? Oh, someone has written exam. Yeah, it's good. Exam. Hari libat urus. Betul. Accredited programs through Gallery of BEM. Latest events and news from BEM. Examination. Online services. Departments. All right. Live program banner. Renewal registration. Okay. Let's look under IEM. IEM events. Okay. Technical division. Good. This is something that you want to look through later. Right. Latest announcements. Webinar event. Webinar in IEM practically about 2 to 3 webinars per day. So that's how active they are. The bulletin is a journal. It's a magazine that you can actually read through. There's a lot of good articles there. Position papers is the important thing that you also need to look. It will become the Act for Malaysia. International mobility through. That's where we move around within AFIO countries. We have OIC members, we have APIO countries. Okay. I think you must help on how to make media coverage more interesting. The media coverage is not really that interesting. Yeah. Membership application, yes, you can apply as a student member. Yeah. We have CPD, all right. We have the conference, right, for 2022. Job gallery is also one way that for you to look at for jobs opportunity. Okay, so I think you basically have gone through those particular webs, and I think while you are waiting for your transport, while you're waiting for your bus, or while you're waiting for your colleague, or while you're waiting for your book, I mean for your food, then just Google these two website, and you will learn a lot more about what they have in BEM and also in IEM. What I'm going to share with you is only the gist of it, right? Okay, now let's move on. Okay, as I've already discussed earlier on, BEM is a statutory body and it is established or basically formed in 1972. In comparative to IEM, which is established in 1959. So we first formed ourselves as the Institution of Engineers Malaysia way back in 1959, right, after independence. And what we then did is in 1967, we came out with the Registration of Engineers Act. So the Registration of Engineers Act came in 1967 that made all engineers who want to work in the country compulsory way back in 1967. Okay, so it is a perpetual succession and a common seal which may sue and be sued. It means all of you after registration can be sued and also can sue others as well. Okay, we have the primary role. The primary role of the board is to facilitate registration. Most importantly is to facilitate registration and also to regulate the professional conduct. When you say about regulate professional conduct, we have arbitration cases, we have, as it's been mentioned here, being sued. You may sue or you can also be sued. In comparative to IEM, it is to promote and advance of the profession and professional of the engineering, and also to facilitate the exchange of information and ideas related to engineering. So this is why IEM become a learned society in comparative to the board, which is a regulatory body. Okay, at the board, we have 17 board members, and it is headed by the president. Generally, the president of the board is the what should I say, ketua pengarah of JKR. So he becomes the president of the board, right? Then we have the ex officio who are the BM secretary and also the BM registrar. Okay, and definitely it is being supported by the secretariat and headed by the executive director. Whereas in IEM, it is run by the council. So currently I'm also a council member, and we have a president. President of IEM goes through election, whereas in the board it is by appointment. Okay, by appointment by the minister. Now, the affairs of the council are carried out by the executive committee, comprising the president, the deputy president, and 7 vice presidents. These are all elected. Honorary secretary, honorary treasurer, and 5 members elected from the council. I used to become the executive committee back then, way in the year 2000. So operations are also fully supported by a full-time secretariat. Now, what would happen is, in the board, all is being appointed. It is nominated and appointed. All right, the board members is appointed, and they have appointment by the minister, under the ministry. Here, this is free, meaning that whoever fits the requirement, in order for you to run a president, definitely before you can run a president, you have to go and climb up your ladder, become a council member, then probably become a vice president, then only you can become then you become a deputy president before you can become the president. It goes by going up the rank, right? And this goes through by election. So we go through election, and there is nomination, and there will be election date to be carried out. Okay, so next you will see that I am sharing with you the number of the registered person in the country. It is close to about 200,000 now, for a population of 32 million. So that, right, our country has a population of about 32 million, but we only have a registered person of about 200,000. So to become a developed country, for every 100 population, we would at least require 1 registered person. Okay, so we are far away from going and becoming a developed country. No doubt that it has been mentioned that by 2020 we should become a developed nation, but that doesn't materialize. Okay, so now I have to thank all of you, right? Because I'm outgoing. I'm already reaching 61. So you guys are in your young age. You are now taking over what we have actually, served in the country, and many of your lectures will also be outgoing. We can only be giving advices. We can't be the main workforce anymore. Well, you guys are going to be the main workforce in about 4 to 5 years to come. Okay, so definitely these numbers will dwindle. You know, if I deregister myself, then it will be 9227. And if my colleagues or myself leave this world, then the number will also be reduced, right? So therefore, not too sure when we're going to hit the 300 or the 400,000 mark in terms of registered person. But definitely, we definitely would have to get more members to become the registered person in the engineering fraternity. However, at IEM, we have about 45,000 members. Why do we have about 45,000 members here? Because majority of them are actually students. They cannot register themselves as a graduate. We don't have a student category on the board, right? The board will only give membership to those who has graduated with a diploma or with a degree. At IEM, if you are a student, you already can join in as a student member. So that is why the number is high here in terms of the student member. I mean, in terms of the membership. But then again, when you talk about registered person, these are people who wanted to register because they want to work. And you must register before you are allowed to gain any employment. So at IEM, we have 45,000 members, right? As I've already mentioned, that a major chunk of the membership is from students. And then we have 16 technical division, as what you've already read through. And then we have a special interest group. We also now have interest group for the retiree here. Then we have the young engineer section, and we also have the woman engineer section. Okay, so the way that it is being grouped is also very much different. You can see that it is more of a learned society. This is more of the regulatory body. All right, these are fine prints. However, I just would like to mention here, it is mandatory for university graduate to register as graduate engineer. It is also mandatory for university graduate to register as engineering technologies. Right? It is also mandatory for applicants with diploma in engineering to register as inspector of works. So all of them would have their own category. They have their own sections, right? So you can read all of these sections in the web, right? And they also have each way of identifying themselves. The graduate engineer is known as grad eng. So therefore, after your name, you can, after you have already registered with the board, you can SITI HAWA binti HAMZAH. At the end of my name, after my name, I can put it as grad eng. Okay, but currently I am already a professional engineer. Therefore, the IR start in front of my name. IR SITI HAWA binti HAMZAH. Have colleagues or friends that is actually graduated from the engineering technologies program, then they will have EngTech behind their name. Soon the engineering technologies will have their own professional qualification. The board is working for it. So if you have any of your friends who are in the polytechnic or taking any engineering technology program in UTEM, in UMP, UNIMAP, or even UTHM, they will soon have their own professional route. We have our professional engineer route, IR, and we have our PEPC. They will also have their route. And soon there will be a route that is planned for the engineering technologies to become a GE and also to become the PE or PEPC. Of course, it's going to be a longer route for them, but then again, there is a pathway prepared. And these are all in the making and is in the discussion. Currently, what is available is they can register as the engineering tech, and they can also be working towards the professional qualification soon, right? And likewise for the IOW, okay? For the IOW. Now, I must share with you when we talk about graduate engineer, we are now not only working in Malaysia. We have 20 other countries and awaiting 7 more countries to join in the group. So, ladies and gentlemen, shall I call you my children? If you don't have a job in Malaysia, that is not the end of the world. Go and get job in 20 other countries, and soon to be joining us another 7 countries and more to come. So in 4 years down the road, in 2025, I trust there will be at least, this year alone we have 4, probably you will have all these 7 countries joined the 21 country that we already have now. So you will have 28 other countries to work with. So no worries. There is no job in Malaysia. Should there be no job in Malaysia? Should you feel that it's not comfortable to work in Malaysia? Should you feel that the work in Malaysia is giving you so, what shall I say, a very low wage or very low salary, and you can get a better salary abroad, so be it. Go abroad. Okay, go abroad. We have prepared this for you, guys. We have prepared this for you. So take this opportunity. Similarly, for the Sydney Accord, well, we have, this is meant for the bachelor program, the one that you are now undergoing, the 8th bachelor program. You can actually work in this country. I will share with you the countries after this. The engineering technologies, they have 11 countries and soon to add by another 2. And for the diploma, they already have 9 countries. Okay, now in Malaysia alone, we have 269 bachelor engineering program. UPM already has 8. So 261 is from other universities, okay, in the country. So why I'm putting up this number? The competition is high, right? For you to get jobs in Malaysia. Similarly, with the engineering technologies, we have 69 programs that had been conducted in the country, and it is increasing alarming, right? And we have 199 diploma programs in the country, and we are waiting for about another 200 more coming from MQA, which has not come to us. So we should be getting about 300 over programs for diploma in Malaysia. Okay, so high competition, right? It's very competitive now to get jobs. But then again, don't worry, right? We have all of this that is available for you in terms of the graduates mobility, because we are governed by the International Engineering Alliance. Okay, we are governed by the International Engineering Alliance, and therefore, when you look at this particular opportunity, and with all the number of members that we have, you should be able to work in other countries as well. Okay, these are the countries that I would like to share with you. We have in all of the continents. We have Australia and New Zealand. In Europe, you have Ireland, UK, Turkey, and even Russia. In America, you can go to Canada, United States, and South America, you can go to Peru and Costa Rica, right? And soon we are going to have Mexico and Chile on board. And then in Africa, we have South Africa, right? If you realize there are so many Chinese engineers working in African countries, okay? And soon, provisional members, now we have Nigeria, Mauritius, and also Kenya, okay? In Asia alone, you have Hong Kong, we have Japan, close by to us, Singapore, we have Chinese Taipei, Taiwan, we have Korea, we have India, we have Sri Lanka, we have China, we have Pakistan, right? Coming in will be Bangladesh, Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia. There's a lot of jobs also in Indonesia, especially if you want to go to the Pulau Kalimantan, right? Because they are moving their capital Jakarta to Kalimantan. So that will be about 20 years of project there in Kalimantan. So it is close by to Sabah and Sarawak, right? So definitely engineering is not all in the city. Engineering can be in a very remote area, and you will see the development with your thoughts, with your minds, with the way that you design things, and that will be good for the country. Okay, and soon coming in will be Saudi Arabia as well. So these are the 21 over countries plus 7 that you can actually work in, right? If you want big money, probably you can work in Singapore because the exchange rate is high. Similarly, UK and United States and even Canada. If you want to go to Australia and New Zealand, that will also be the same thing, right? But don't underestimate places like Bangladesh, Indonesia, even Mexico and Peru, and even Russia and Turkey. They have very good development there as well. So if you can't find job in number 6, Malaysia, so spread your wings, go to the other parts of the world. We have already prepared that particular landscape for you under the International Engineering Alliance. Yeah? Okay, so don't be afraid. And furthermore, let me just go to the previous slide. We have become IPR member, and we also have become APEC member. You can also work in APEC countries. You can also work in APIA countries. These APIA countries may not be within this particular WA and SA countries, but these are the extension of those in the WA and SA. WA means Washington Accord, SA means Sydney Accord, DA means Dublin Accord. Washington Accord is meant for the Bachelor Engineering program. Sydney Accord is meant for the Bachelor Engineering Technologies program, and Dublin Accord is meant for the Diploma program. So soon, we are also going to provide the professional practice for the technologists and also for the technician. For the engineers, in your case, or the 8 engineering program, we are here. APEC and also IPR, which we have become members since, which Malaysia became members since 1999 and the year 2000. So the question here is graduates mobility. Okay, so of course, if you want to go and work to these countries, the very basic additional language that you must have is English, right? So if you have probably Mandarin or you have Urdu or some of the other language that you may have, then you can actually work in some of the other countries as well. Okay, but definitely the basic language, additional language that you must have is English. Okay, right. The next one is on the, how many more slides? Okay, I have a few more minutes. Okay, the Registration of Engineers Act, which has been revised. I've already discussed about this, and you have the Registration of Engineers Regulation, which also has been revised. And when this revision took place, it allows for the engineering technologists and also the technician to be registered person. So that is why we have already changed our Engineers Act as well. And for this, we have the professional engineers with practicing certificate. So definitely we have a code of professional conduct. That means that you cannot go against another colleague, right? If you have another consultant that is actually bidding for project, you cannot actually sub them. You cannot undermine them. You cannot compete with them. We are supposed to work as a team. So please read the code of professional conduct. There are issues here, and even if you want to surrender your project, you must surrender with proper document, right? So if there is any issues with that particular project, if you want to surrender, you must have to tell the incoming engineer who's going to take over by saying that this particular project is going to doom. They have lots of design problem. So you must actually be very transparent with the engineer who's taking over. You cannot be keeping information from our fellow engineer, right? So if you do that, then you are subjected to liability. That is why you can also be sued. You can sue and you can also be sued. If the information was not given to you in a truthful manner, then I can actually sue you for accepting the job while you are keeping the information from me. Okay, because when you transfer the responsibility, you must transfer in full and in truth. So all of that is written in this code of professional conduct on how to conduct our profession. Okay. Now let me see. I have already given a brief idea on how to become a professional engineer. Sorry. So definitely when you talk about you gain experience, you must have at least 3 years of practicing experience. Okay, so when you talk about 3 years of practicing experience, in general, through my experience, the earliest that you can go in to apply to become a professional engineer would be 5 years. Even though the Act says that you can go as early as 3, but normally, from my experience, those who come in after 3 years of experience, they will not pass the exam because you don't have enough experience in 3 years. Okay, even 5, a handful of people would pass. Generally, 7 to 8 will be the best, provided you really maximize your time between those years. If you keep hopping from one job to another, then you may not be getting the true experience because you have to start all over again at a different job. And you would not be able to show your competency in terms of the solving problem or resolving issues at the work site. Because you keep on, getting a new job. So that is also not good. So try to work with the company long enough so that you gain all the experiences right from start until probably the work is finished. If you are a civil, if it takes about 3 years to construct a 20-story building, so probably you come in as early as at the design stage, or probably late at the design stage where you are doing checking, and then you will go to the site and you will do your work until it's handing over. So you have a very good experience throughout the journey. And that is a very valuable journey that you'll be able to share in terms of your experience gain in order for you to become a professional engineer. Because during the interview, it is not just the design. It is how you handle people. It is how you manage the work. It's how you manage the money and how you handle issues in terms of ethical issues as well, right? So that is why I would say, based on my experience, those with 3 normally will fail. Those with 5 will pass. A few will pass, but generally 7 to 8 would be a very good length of period for you to gain the experience. Provided, as I already mentioned, that you must stick to that particular project long enough for you to gain the experience. I'm not saying that you should be sticking to that particular company, until you feel that you rot. No, you move on when you think that is the right time to move and the right experience to gain. Okay. So if you have got your PE now under the 2015, you are supposed to take the competency exam before you can upgrade yourself to become a PE-PC. So in the PE-PC, you can actually take up, in the PE-PC, you can actually own a business. Okay. Right. So what is your career goal? So when we talk about the learned society, these are examples of some of the learned society that I have. ASEM, Association of Consulting Engineers, is part and parcel of the learned society. Mindset. You can also go and get your professional qualification through the ICAME, IMAGE, IEEE. And then you can also go to some other, in America, they have a lot of this American Society of Civil Engineers, Chemical Engineers. In most of these organizations, they have lots and lots of journal paper that you can actually read. And by saying so, I am also opening the gate for you to actually try to think what is going to be your future final year project. So you can read through all of these journals, right? And see what is your interest. Develop the interest from now. And you will see what are the latest that have been discussed in the journal. So this is the way forward. You're preparing for 2025. Your final year project will be probably at the end of 2024 into 2025. So 3 years down the road, what do you plan to do with your final year project? So these are ways and means of you getting the information in terms of way forward and from the learned society. Now, I need to highlight this to you. This is what had united all of us. We call this as a sustainable development goal, and this is under United Nations. As an engineer, we are responsible to all of these 17 sustainable development goals. When we talk about zero hunger, I saw there is a Bachelor of Food tadi. What was that? Food processing, was it? So how can you deal with zero hunger? Number 2, right? Of course, all the civil, mechanical, electrical, we are definitely in charge of number 11, sustainable cities and communities, right? For chemical, civil, and mechanical even, we are in charge of the clean water and sanitation. So basically, if you read all of this, we engineers are responsible. Okay, so work on this as well, right? And you can check on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, read them, and probably this will, bring you way forward on how you want to deal with your design project as well. Okay, input, include, and mitigate any of these elements in your design project, inclusive your final year project. Or probably you can work as a CSR, no, corporate social responsibility work that you can actually do. Probably under good health and well-being. What can an engineering do under good health and well-being? I know there are food, there are processors, there are even computer, right? Even the electrical, even civil, it will at the end of the day go back to good health and well-being, right? Okay, look into that. You can also work in this form. This is probably for the lecturers to look into. You can look under according to the themes, right? And most importantly, you look at that the way that the professional competency that is applauded by IEA, the International Engineering Alliance. We have 13 of them. So each one of them is for you to attain, right? And of course, I put a world map here for mobility purposes, and another about 2 more slides for me to share with you. Now, look at the bridge on the left. It's known as Hussaini Hanging Bridge, was built in 1967. I was there in 2019 and it is still there. Why do you think the bridge is there? Because there are people living behind this mountain. All right? So whoever who built this in 1966 and 1967 to come with a cable stayed bridge at that time. It's a cable bridge. So it's a hanging bridge. It's a hanging cable bridge. Way in 1966, I was only 5 years old. And when I come in 2019, it is still there. See how many years it has survived all the seasons of high water, low tide, and still fulfill the intention of the bridge to serve as a mean of transport for the people from this end to the other end. All right. Now, this is food for thought. I'm putting this up for food for your thoughts, right? Recently, I just came back. My last trip before the MCO was actually to Iceland. I was walking on a glacier. We are talking about global warming. Right? We're talking about global warming. Iceland is a country where you can see ice and volcano works well together. Right? Because the volcano, they have so many volcanoes, and yet the volcanoes will not be erupting as how we have in Indonesia. And you have so many deaths. Because the volcanic eruption that happened in Iceland will actually easily consolidate because of the cold weather that they have. The ice will actually put them back as a rock, even though they have actually melted up. So now we have issues with global warming. So under the Sustainable Development Goal, we do mention about climate issues, right? Even when we have the torrential rain here recently, as of yesterday, just over the weekend, we have such a heavy flood. What really causes it? Okay, so there are issues, big issues here and there. So this is another way of you to think forward. How we as an engineering graduates, engineering technologists, or even technicians can think and make our world a better place for our future generation to live on, right? So we don't think about the end of the world. That is not our duty. That is the duty of God, right? That is act of God. Now for this, if you think that you're going to live another 1,000 years, how best can you make the world a better place for our future generation, right? Again, now, why do I put this particular Hindu Kush mountain range? It is 500 miles between Pakistan and Afghanistan, and yet they are alive. People are living here. Yes, we know what are the issues in Afghanistan, but God has given the Hindu Kush mountain range full of minerals. There's so much of minerals. Even we have the Russian there, we have the American there, we have we even have the people from Germany there. When I was there in 2016 and 2017 in Kabul to provide training for their lecturers for the whole of Afghanistan. In both years that I went is near misses. The first one was where 300 people died. We came in after the death, and for 2017 we left before the bombing at the hotel that I stayed. So it was 2 near misses. But then again, what I'm trying to share with you here is how does the people behind this Hindu Kush mountain range for 500 miles live and survive and try to create development in their country. Okay. And another one that I have here is a Panam Nagar. This is in Dhaka. Again, I have another trip to to Bangladesh to provide training as well. In the 15th century, they already come up with this city. And for them to have all these pillars, this is the Mughal Empire. And for them to actually have a very good drainage system in the 15th century amazed me back then. So you could learn about how the way the Rome built a Roman Empire back then. It is not overnight. So you have to go through proper planning and processes. So I hope with that, you guys are well prepared in becoming the future engineers in 4 years to come. So 2 points, two philosophical way of looking at things is trust me, undergraduate life is the best period of an academic journey. It's not your postgraduate life. It's your undergraduate life where you are now. So enjoy every moment of it. Right up from year 1 until your year 4. But definitely don't enjoy too much that you have to stay in UPM until the 7th year or the 8th year before you graduate. Do it in 4 years. At the same time, enjoy your undergraduate life. And in other words, to ponder is giving back to mankind is the best experience of the career ladder. So that is why we are here as an engineering fraternity. So back to you, Lee. All the best. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. I hope it is enlightening to all of you. Thank you. I'll stop share. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. Okay.
All right, thank you, Dr. Siti HAWA HAMZAH. So we are now moving to the Q&A session. So if any of you have any questions, you can just turn on your mic and direct your questions to Doctor. Yeah, or type your questions in the chat box also, no problem.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, hello, doctor. I have one question. Uh, After an engineer graduates, do you think it's necessary to take the master's degree, or does he does he take it after going to work and gain experience?
Okay. It would depend so much on what is your way forward. If your career pathway is to become a lecturer, probably you want to go and get your postgraduate studies done the sooner the better. Reason being because usually, I believe in many of the universities in Malaysia as well, if you don't have your PhD, you cannot get yourself employed as a lecturer as yet. But if becoming a lecturer would be probably 10 to 20 years down the road, then I would strongly advise you go out and work first. Get your experiences, probably 3 to 4 years. or better still, 5 years. Or if you have the time, I think even in Malaysia we can do it. There's a lot of part-time postgraduate master's program being conducted in the country, where rather than you complete in 1.5 years, you can complete in 2 years or probably 3 years if you spread it well enough. But the advice would be, do not go for masters by research if you are doing it part-time. Do it masters by coursework. Or probably at UPM you have a mixed mode, I think. You have 2 modes, right? You have total coursework and you have a mixed mode. If you think that you are very good in research, then probably you take the mixed mode where you have, Dr. Mahfuza, educate me, you have like what, 24 hours? 24 hours of coursework and the remaining 16 hours as thesis or whatever?
You mean for the MSKK? We have the master,
For the master's program.
we call it as MSKK for the by course.
Okay.
For,
How many hours is coursework?
I can't remember about the hours, but normally
Okay.
do that in the weekend for those who are
Yeah.
working. Yeah.
So that is one way of doing things. If you can afford to do it on a part-time basis, then but some of the jobs may require you to work late at night, especially if you are in a civil in the construction industry. You may require yourself to work late at night or even sometime over the weekend. So working part-time on your postgraduate studies may not be workable. So it depends so much on what is your career pathway and how your current duty is. Whether it's very demanding in terms of your time at site or it's just in terms of design office. Okay, I think what's the name was that Saula?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Answers you, right? Sari Kaula. Sorry, where are you from?
I'm Syrian.
Sorry,
I'm Syrian.
Syrian. Okay, right. Taking masters in engineering only does not guarantee a good. Is taking up masters in engineering only does not guarantee a good job performance? Nishan, can you please explain further what do you mean by this? Masters in engineering. This is a postgraduate study, right? Nishan, can you speak up?
I mean, do we have only or do we have experience or
To be experienced?
yeah. Is
Okay, when you take masters when you take any postgraduate studies, it is more of you learning the theoretical part and probably try to solve some of the problem according to the codes and according to research, according to the simulation. If you go out and work, you are taking up the practice. There are some of the solutions that may not be in the textbook, but it can be solved according to creative ways in solving that particular solution. What you learn in a textbook will be mostly in terms of concept and probably dedicated to small function of that particular work. But then when you look as a whole, you may have to look at it in terms of the whole conduct of the whole professional practice itself. Sometimes, even when you go through your design work later, you will see that you cannot rely on one software alone to solve a particular analysis. You have to solve by one software A, and then probably then you move up to software B, and then you move up to software C. So the answers from software A will need to be input as an input parameter in software B, and as an input parameter for the output of B will now be an input for C. Then only you will be able to get the proper analysis of that particular design. So it is usually not a straightforward case. when you are dealing with site work. Because during sites, you will experience a lot of challenges in terms of what you thought that you've already designed for was not practical at the site. So this is where you will be getting a different sort of experiences in comparative to doing your postgraduate studies. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Nur Nabil. Sila.
So after we graduate, it's obvious that most company required an experience. So if we cannot find a job, for example, to gain this experience, how could we gain this experience without finding a job after graduate?
Good question. Of course, there are many companies that would actually hire fresh graduates. True. But before they want to hire you, you must at least have to show some level of competency. How do you show that level of competency? During your training in your undergraduate studies, you will be attending an 8 weeks of industrial training, right? So that 8 weeks of industrial training is something for you to prove yourself that you are a good worker, a good engineer. So therefore, your logbook should not be day in and day out, right? Okay, clock in 8 o'clock. Okay, go into my software A, and I only solve to solve a certain problem. And by the afternoon you are done, and your logbook would mention that you go out for lunch, and in the afternoon you attended meeting, and that's it. That is done for the day. You did not really capture what was really the problem with that particular issue. And if you are doing a design work using a software, and for the total period of 8 weeks, you are given a certain job and you are on that particular job only for the total 8 weeks. So that means you're not gaining much experience, right? You don't push yourself to ask from your boss, from your employer, to actually join a certain meeting, probably with the client, or probably go to the site to solve some issues, or probably even attend some other of the other colleagues' difficulty, where you assist them. So the industry training is a very important exposure of your professional practice. So please don't consider your industry training as something that is very light. Take it very seriously, and try to carry out your industrial training with a renowned company, where if you are doing a good job during your industrial training, don't you think that I as an employer would take someone else? I may probably has offered you a job, right? So most importantly is for you to show that particular competency skill that you are a worthy employee to be appointed. Okay, that is one from your industry training. Secondly, you will be doing integrated design project. That will be in your final year. Integrated design project would be a portfolio to show to your employer that you are doing a good design experience in your university. Okay, so do not just throw away all your design sheets that you've done, compile them, and best thing if you can put everything in a hardcover and bring it together during your interview session as a portfolio. As how you see the architecture student will carry a big bag with all their design work. That is what our engineering students should be carrying. Your integrated design project, together with all the analysis that you've done. Even though it's going to be a group work, show them which are the part that you've been involved and be able to explain. So if you can't explain what you've been doing, definitely I won't be hiring you, right? Thirdly, I've given you two, right? So the third one will be your final year project. Final year project will be the individual testimony of your competency, of the knowledge that you've already acquired. So don't be stingy. If you have the money, the pocket money from your parents, save it 10 ringgit a month. At least by the time that you reach the 4th year, you have the money to actually print it nicely, hard copy, color, and bind it properly. And bring it as a hard copy during your interview. So you will have 3 main things that you will carry. Your latihan industry or your industrial logbook with the report as one hardbound copy. Of course, with the photos of what you have done, with all the pictures that you've done. Of course, it's not a pictures of Hari Raya celebration and whatnot. It is the photos of what is really happening at site. Okay. Secondly is your integrated design project. And thirdly is your final year project. If you have these 3 reports with you and they are good, I don't see why the employer is going to kick you out from the interview room. They will actually want you in. Okay? No, Nabil? Right?
Okay.
Right, betul? No Nabil kan yang tanya tadi? Betul? Betul ke?
Yes, yes, okay.
Okay, thank you. Alright. There is an article about starting salary which is quite low. Yeah, no worries about that. We are looking about I say that the thing is with the low salary that is mentioned here is, of course, it is engineers who actually employ the engineers back. And with the situation, when they are being sub to another sub and sub again, then of course the salary will not be big for those who are working in the lowest category of subcon, right? But if you are working at the upper level, if you're working with the main con, definitely you get a high salary. So don't make that as a deterrent for you not to take up engineering, right? And then again, like I said, don't just rely in Malaysia to work. I've given you all the other countries that you can also work. Yeah. If I were to, okay, would that be okay, Syawkani, Nur Iman? Yeah. Okay, if I were to register a student membership in IEM, what perks do we get besides the webinars? Networking is one of them. Webinars is abundance. I don't think so you have enough time to even attend all the webinars. Student membership, definitely networking, and there will be a lot of competition, design competition, which you can also join in as a member. And I would treasure networking as one of the most important aspects when you are joining IEM. And I believe UPM has the IEM student section, which you can actually join as a group. Okay. Any other question? What are the consequences if engineers do not register for the professional societies? No worries. Regulatory is professional body. You don't register with the society, that's fine. Compulsory is with the Board of Engineers. IEM is not compulsory. If I were, okay, Hilman, if I were to graduate from Masters in Engineering, would I still need a PhD to continue as a lecturer? Yes, in most of the universities in the country, yes. In other parts of the world as well too. Yes, you have to have a PhD. Unless you are only going to teach diploma program, and probably if you have lots of experience and IR, they may hire you. But then if you only have Masters in Engineering and you do not have any IR, I think by the year 2025, your chances may not be that good. You will be slim. But then again, rezeki tu tangan Allah. But anyway, if you want to pursue as a lecturer, my advice is must always include PhD in your pathway, because otherwise it will be very difficult for you to gain promotion later on. Of course, when you work, you want some promotion, right? Okay. Okay, Hilman. Anything else?
Okay.
All right.
So, so I think there's no more questions for
Okay.
the floor.
Right.
So let me just end the session. So, all right. Once again, I would like to thank Dr. Siti Hawa Hamza for her fruitful sharing session today, and not to forget all the students who are present in the seminar today. So I hope that the students have gained a lot of knowledge on what is IEM, BEM, and how engineers can contribute back to the society by working towards the sustainable development goals. So yeah, now all the students, you may leave the meeting and join the respective lecturer groups. All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank you
Lee.
very
All the
much.
best to you. Okay, thank you, Dr.
Thanks, Doc.
Hamzah. All right. I hope that helps. I can email you the PowerPoint slides later on, yeah?
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you,
Thank
Doctor.
you, guys.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you,
Thank
doctor.
you,
Thank you.
doctor.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Doctor.
doctor.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you,
Bye.
doctor.
Thank you,
Thank you,
doctor.
doctor.
Syok lah tak dapat tengok muka
Thank you,
you orang ni.
Dr. Siti.
Thank
Thank you, doctor.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
doctor.
you, doctor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yes.
doctor.
Thank you. All the best.
Yeah, we
Thank
are
you,
going
Doctor.
to go for the discussion
you.
after this, Prof.
Yeah.
Have discussion session after this. The students
So they will go into their discussion session lah. Okay.
discuss about what you have shared just now.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh ni anak you, nombor berapa ni?
7 tahun.
Nombor berapa?
Ya,
Nombor berapa?
nombor 2.
Masya Allah.
Yeah.
That's good. I hope it helps and it
Yeah,
assists
very much,
your
very much. Yeah, very
Okay,
much.
Alhamdulillah, insyaAllah.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Okay.
Inshallah.
Mm-mm. Thank you. So I will leave ya. Alright.
Yeah, thank
Nanti
you.
akan email kat you the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Ya.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Prof.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.